When you buy a new home, whether it's like a sleek condo on the 30th floor or maybe a house in a quiet gated community, you usually have this very specific picture of safety in your head.
Oh, absolutely. It's that ultimate fortress mentality.
Right. You've got the electronic key fob, you've got the security guard at the front gate, maybe a couple of cameras in the lobby.
Yeah, the whole setup.
And you cross that threshold, you lock the door behind you, and the chaos of the outside world is officially shut out.
Because we're conditioned to believe that, danger always comes from the outside trying to break in.
Exactly. But what if the biggest threat to your home and your finances and your peace of mind isn't coming from outside the gate at all?
Right.
What if the intruders already have the master keys? Like they sit in the air-conditioned front office and you are literally paying them a monthly salary to be there.
It's basically a modern Trojan horse.
Right.
And the scale at which this is happening, often completely unnoticed by the residents, is honestly staggering.
It is wild. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking a concept that sounds like it belongs in some kind of Hollywood thriller, but it is hiding in plain sight. We're talking about condo mafias and housing estate mafias.
Yeah, it's a huge issue.
And today's deep dive actually takes us to Thailand. We're looking at some really fascinating analysis from local real estate experts over there, including a prominent commentator known as Mr. Oe.
Mm-hmm.
And he reveals this whole playbook that bad actors use to take over residential juristic persons, which, most of you probably just know as HOAs or condo boards.
Right. And I think we should probably set the scene by clarifying that word mafia, because it immediately brings up images of street gangs or protection rackets, guys in pinstripe suits.
Right, like The Sopranos or something.
Exactly. We have to strip all that away. We're talking about white-collar, highly opportunistic groups. These are individuals who systematically hijack the administration of housing estates and condominiums purely to line their own pockets.
And just reading through these sources, the scariest part to me is how universal the vulnerability is. Like, it doesn't matter if you live in a budget-friendly starter condo or, I don't know, a sprawling ultra-luxury high-rise.
No.
The mechanics of the takeover are identical.
Because the building's price tag doesn't change human nature. And human nature is exactly what these groups exploit.
Right.
So to understand how they operate, we first have to look at, why the door is left wide open for them in the first place.
And it comes down to this massive systemic power vacuum.
Yeah, exactly.
Which exists because being on a condo committee is, it's an entirely unpaid volunteer position. It's like the ultimate thankless job.
Oh, it's way beyond thankless. Consider the demographics of your average condominium. The residents are overwhelmingly young, working-age professionals.
Right, they're busy.
Extremely busy. They are in the absolute prime of their lives, heavily focused on building their careers, maybe starting families, or just trying to survive a brutal daily commute. They simply do not have the time or the mental bandwidth, really, to come home after a 10-hour workday and start auditing the building's maintenance budget.
Right, which is an interesting contrast to housing estates. Because the analysis notes that suburban housing estates often have a higher population of retirees.
Yes.
And they have the free time and sometimes, the desire to oversee community matters. But in a condo, time is just a luxury nobody has.
Time is the ultimate scarce resource. And even if someone does have the time, they very quickly run into the penalty of volunteering.
Oh my gosh, I was reading this section and physically wincing because it is so relatable.
It really is.
Let's say you're a good faith, honest resident, right? You volunteer for the board, you look at the ledgers and realize, okay, inflation is up, the elevator maintenance contract is up, and you have to propose raising the monthly common fees.
Yep. And you instantly become the villain of the building.
You literally have a target on your back. Like, people are glaring at you in the lobby.
Yeah, you're the bad guy.
It reminds me of the dreaded college group project, but so much worse. That dynamic.
The one person doing all the work.
Exactly. There's always one person who herds the cats and does all the heavy lifting. But in this real estate version, the other students actively despise you for trying to keep the project afloat.
It's a nightmare. And because of this dynamic, the highly qualified people in the building, the accountants, the lawyers, the engineers, they see the headache coming from a mile away.
Oh, totally.
They look at the committee sign-up sheet and just run the other way.
So if the good guys are too busy or, just completely avoiding it, who steps into that vacuum?
Well, nature abhors a vacuum, right? When the competent, well-meaning professionals step back, The only people left raising their hands are the ones who see a lucrative opportunity.
Right.
They step into that void not to serve, but to extract.
And they don't do it with ski masks and guns. They do it by basically weaponizing legal loopholes.
Yes, exactly.
This is the part that honestly blew my mind. The sources detail specific flaws in the Thai Condominium Act, both the original 1979 law and the 2008 update.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the numbers game first, because the law requires a minimum of just 3 committee members.
Right, up to a maximum of 9, but yes, a minimum of 3.
Wait, 3 people for a building that might have, I don't know, 500 units?
3 is all the law requires. So if a building's internal regulations are set to that absolute minimum, a bad actor doesn't need to mount this massive political campaign.
Wow.
They nominate themselves, and they only need to convince one single friend or accomplice to join them.
Just one.
Just one.
Okay.
Because once those 2 are on the board, they instantly control a 2/3 majority. They essentially have total dictatorial control over the administration.
But wait, even with a tiny board, they still have to get elected in the first place, right? I mean, they still have to get past a lobby full of residents at a general meeting. How do they actually pull that off?
Well, this is where we run into a major flaw in how democratic processes are structured in these micro-communities.
Okay.
By law, to pass major decisions or elect a committee, the first general meeting requires a minimum attendance rate, a quorum of 25% of the co-owners.
Which goes back to our exhausted young professionals. I mean, getting 25% of a building to give up their Saturday afternoon to sit in folding chairs in the lobby is nearly impossible.
That never happens.
So that first meeting almost always fails.
Right. And the drafters of the law, they anticipated that failure. So they wrote in a contingency. If the first meeting fails to reach quorum, a second meeting must be called within 15 days.
Okay.
But here is the fatal flaw. That second meeting has absolutely no minimum quorum requirement.
No, none?
None whatsoever.
Okay, I want to do the math on this out loud so everyone listening can really feel the danger here. Let's say you live in a condo building with exactly 100 equal-sized rooms. For the first meeting, the law says you need 25 rooms represented, but everyone's tired, so only 15 people show up. The meeting is canceled, failed.
A very, very common scenario.
So they call the second meeting 2 weeks later. And because there's no minimum quorum, let's say only 10 people show up out of the whole 100-unit building.
Yep.
If just 6 of those people vote yes, they can pass whatever they want. Like, those 6 people could vote to approve, I don't know, a $25 million painting project, which is what, over $700,000 US dollars?
That is the exact mechanism. A tiny, highly organized fraction of the community can dictate massive financial liabilities for everybody else.
That is terrifying. Just 6 people.
It is. And the opportunists understand this math perfectly. They don't just sit back and cross their fingers hoping that first meeting fails.
No.
No, they actively ensure it fails. They use a tactic that we can basically call manufactured toxicity.
Oh, the psychological warfare aspect?
Exactly. To guarantee a low turnout, they intentionally turn the community into a highly toxic environment. You know, in Thailand, the Line messaging app is ubiquitous. Practically everyone uses it for daily communication.
Right, like WhatsApp or whatever.
Yeah. So the bad actors will flood the resident Line groups with petty, vicious arguments. They'll send hundreds of messages a day fighting over where a bicycle is parked or complaining about a specific security guard.
See, I would just mute that group chat instantly. If my phone is vibrating 50 times an hour with neighbors screaming at each other, I'm putting it on Do Not Disturb and throwing it on the couch.
Which is exactly what they want you to do. They completely weaponize your desire for peace.
Wow.
And they also schedule that crucial first general meeting on, like, a Tuesday afternoon at 2:00 p.m. when they know you're at work.
That is so shady.
Right. By making any engagement with the community painful or inconvenient, they ensure you tune out. The first meeting fails, the second unquorumed meeting happens, and they sweep right into power.
Okay, so they've manipulated the exhaustion of the residents, they've squeezed through that crazy quorum loophole, and now they have their 2/3 majority.
Right.
What does a condo mafia actually do with their new empire once they have it?
Well, they immediately establish a mafia economy. At the most brazen, unsophisticated end of the spectrum, you see direct, old-fashioned embezzlement.
Like literally just stealing the money.
Oh, yeah. The sources highlight cases where common funds are just shamelessly transferred directly from the juristic person's account into the personal bank accounts of the committee members.
Just treating the community vault like a personal ATM? That's insane.
Sometimes they feel they're untouchable. But, the more common, slightly more sophisticated approach is the kickback system.
Ah, right.
The committee controls the purse strings. They are responsible for hiring the property management company, the security firm, the cleaning staff, the gardening services.
So they basically set up a toll booth for all of that.
Exactly. They demand a cut from every single vendor. They will purposefully create large, unnecessary infrastructure projects, like that $700,000 painting project you mentioned, and negotiate a hefty cash rebate from the contractor under the table.
Unbelievable.
They'll skim a percentage off every single annual contract the building signs.
And the sources point out that the abuse isn't just financial, right? Like it bleeds into the actual lifestyle of the building.
Very much so.
They turn these multi-million-dollar properties into personal fiefdoms. I read that they'll have the condo's gardening staff go to their private suburban homes to cut their grass on the clock.
Yep.
Or they'll have the lobby cleaners wash their personal cars or clean their private units for free. They even rope off VIP parking spaces for themselves in areas meant for everybody.
And perhaps most damaging to the day-to-day comfort of the actual residents, they often run illegal side hustles.
Oh, like what?
Well, they might buy up or control multiple units and convert them into illegal, daily, hotel-style rentals, much like an unregulated Airbnb operation.
Which completely ruins the safety of the building. I mean, you bought a secure home, and suddenly you have a parade of strangers with rolling suitcases wandering the halls and using the pool every single day.
Exactly.
It's infuriating. Honestly, if I saw the building's gardener washing the committee president's car, I would immediately post a photo in that resident line group and demand answers.
Well, and that is exactly what they're waiting for you to do.
Yeah.
Because they have a trap prepared for that exact scenario, which is the SLAPP lawsuit.
Okay, yes, the strategic lawsuits against public participation. We need to dwell on this because the asymmetry here is so incredibly dark.
It really is. Thailand has very broad, easily weaponized defamation laws. If you accuse the committee of corruption in a group chat, they don't bother arguing with you. No, they sue you for criminal defamation.
And here's the trap, right? They aren't using their own money to sue you. They are using the juristic person's legal budget to hire the lawyers. And that budget is funded by your monthly maintenance fees. So you are literally paying the salary of the lawyer who is suing you while you have to go out of pocket to hire your own defense attorney.
That's the tragic irony of it.
It is literal censorship funded by the victims themselves.
And it creates a massive chilling effect. If you are a resident and you see your neighbor get dragged into a grueling multi-year legal battle just for asking to see the accounting ledgers, you're going to stay quiet.
Yeah, you just keep your head down.
Because the cost of speaking up is simply too high.
Okay, my blood pressure is officially through the roof right now. We have a very clear, very grim picture of the damage.
It's a mess.
Let's shift gears to how we actually clean this mess up, because the analysis offers some really concrete, top-down, systemic changes from the government side.
Right. And the most fundamental legal fix addresses the root cause of the apathy we talked about. Currently, under the Condominium Act, voting in your building is considered a right.
Okay.
The proposal is to legally change it from a right to a duty.
Make it mandatory. Because, I mean, people ignore rights all the time. Like, I have the right to learn the piano, but I don't do it.
Exactly. And we can look at the current Thai constitution regarding voting for members of parliament as a precedent here.
Oh, how so?
It used to be a right, and voter turnout was historically poor. But when the constitution changed it to a duty, turnout increased significantly because the psychological framing shifted, and there are actual consequences for not participating.
See, that's the key, though. Consequences. A duty is just a suggestion if there isn't a penalty attached to it.
Right.
There.
So the sources suggest implementing real penalties for failing to participate in your building's governance. It could be a financial fine or, far more intriguingly, mandatory community service for the building.
I actually love that idea. You don't want to give up an hour to sit in the general meeting? Fine, you owe the building 10 hours of sweeping the driveway, cleaning the pool, or sitting at the security desk.
It completely alters the incentive structure.
Hmm.
Suddenly, sitting in the lobby and raising your hand is much less painful than the penalty. Furthermore, the government really needs to modernize the legal framework for voting. We live in a digital age. There is no technical reason residents shouldn't be able to use secure digital authentication to vote online.
That would destroy the Mafia's inconvenient meeting time tactic instantly. I mean, if I can securely vote from my smartphone while riding the train home from work, turnout would shoot past 25% easily.
Exactly. Hand in hand with digital voting, the law absolutely must eliminate the zero-quorum loophole for the second meeting.
Yes, please.
If a meeting doesn't meet the minimum threshold to represent the community, it simply should not have the legal authority to pass binding, multi-million bat financial resolutions.
That makes total sense. Now, the sources also mention giving local land officials more power, because right now, officials only intervene if a brave resident files a formal complaint, which triggers those terrible SLAPP lawsuits.
Right.
So the proposal is to give land officials proactive auditing powers, kind of like tax auditors from the Revenue Department.
Exactly. Most honest residents would gladly pay a small, mandatory annual fee to fund independent random audits of their buildings' ledgers just to ensure transparency.
Yeah, I'd pay that in a heartbeat.
Another major proposal is creating a dedicated branch within a government body like the OCPB, that's the Consumer Protection Board, specifically designed to handle condo disputes.
Why the OCPB, though? Instead of just going to the police?
Because the traditional court system is agonizingly slow and incredibly expensive. A specialized Consumer Protection Board could handle these disputes administratively, quickly, and fairly, bypassing the years of litigation that the mafias really rely on to exhaust their victims.
Okay, so I hear all of this, and it sounds great in theory. A specialized consumer board, sweeping amendments to the Condominium Act, but changing national laws takes years.
Oh, absolutely.
If I'm a resident listening to this right now and I'm realizing, wait, my building's new gym equipment costs 3 times retail price, and the committee president just bought a new Mercedes, I can't wait for Parliament to act.
No, you can't.
What can residents do today under the current law?
When you are under active siege, you can't wait for a rescue. You need grassroots tactics. And the resident's playbook starts with a 25% recall.
Okay, so if I'm a resident reading this, I'm thinking, I just need to get my neighbors together and vote them out. Like, if you can gather signatures from residents representing 25% of the total voting power, you can force an extraordinary general meeting with the specific agenda to oust the current committee.
Yes.
That actually sounds doable if everyone is angry enough.
It is doable, but you have to expect a massive counterattack. The mafia will not surrender their cash cow quietly. They will launch what sources describe as proxy wars.
Proxy wars, which is almost like corporate identity theft. How does this proxy war actually work?
Well, remember who controls the juristic office.
Oh, wow.
The mafia has the master contact list for every single owner.
Oh, right.
They know exactly which units are occupied by renters, which means they know which units are owned by absentee landlords or foreign investors who have never even set foot in the building.
The people who have absolutely no idea what's happening on the ground.
Exactly. The juristic office staff will call that investor in, say, Singapore or London, claiming there's a routine, boring administrative meeting coming up. Maybe framing it as a minor fire safety compliance vote.
Okay.
And they will politely ask the absentee owner to sign over a proxy voting form just to, quote, help the building reach quorum.
And the investor thinks they're just doing a quick favor for the nice receptionist at the front desk.
Precisely. Then the recall meeting happens. The angry residents show up, thinking they have the numbers to oust the committee.
Yeah.
And the mafia walks in armed with a massive stack of proxy votes from people who don't even live there,
Right.
effectively outvoting the residents who actually suffer the daily consequences of the corruption.
That is so deeply manipulative. You really have to out-organize them, and you have to do it fast. The sources really emphasize this ticking clock regarding the law, too, right?
Yes, the statute of limitations is the mafia's best friend. If you suspect embezzlement, you cannot hesitate.
Why not?
Because the legal window to file criminal charges for embezzlement can be shockingly short. Sometimes just a matter of months or even days from the moment the act is discovered.
Oh, wow. So their whole strategy is just to stall. They hide the financial documents, they delay the meetings, they ignore your emails, all hoping the clock runs out and they become legally untouchable.
Exactly. Which brings us to the ultimate defense. The only real shield against a condo mafia under current legal conditions is active, relentless community participation.
You cannot just lock your door and pretend the rest of the building doesn't exist.
You really can't.
Yeah.
You must talk to your neighbors, you need to know who lives next to you, and do not meet the community chat group no matter how toxic it gets, because you have to monitor the flow of information.
And if you absolutely cannot attend a meeting, you can't just hand over a blank proxy form to the front desk.
Never give a blank proxy to the juristic office. If you must use a proxy, give it to a neighbor you know and trust. And more importantly, use a directed proxy. Write down exactly how you want your vote cast on every single agenda item. Do not leave a single decision open to interpretation.
This has been such a wild ride. We've gone from understanding the exhaustion that creates this massive power vacuum to seeing exactly how bad actors exploit quorum loopholes and that crazy 15-day trap.
It's quite the system.
We've explored the financial drain of kickbacks, the psychological trap of SLAPP lawsuits, and ultimately we've learned that community vigilance is really the only real weapon we have right now.
It really highlights a profound truth about shared living. The legal structure of a building is only as strong as the community's willingness to enforce it.
Which leaves me with this lingering, almost paradoxical thought for you to mull over. We live in an era of unprecedented hyperdensity. We are packed by the hundreds, sometimes thousands, into these massive vertical towers. We share walls, we share plumbing, we share the roof over our heads. We are physically closer to our neighbors than at any point in human history. Yet we are so socially disconnected from the people literally inches away from us that a small group of opportunists can steal our shared home right from under our noses simply because we couldn't be bothered to say hello in the elevator. It begs the question, what is the true cost of minding your own business?
A very expensive question to ignore.
We started by talking about the fortress mentality, the locks on the door, the guards at the gate, but maybe the real Trojan horse isn't the mafia sitting in the front office. Maybe the Trojan horse is our own apathy, letting them in without a fight. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Do yourself a favor tonight. Go check your building's notice board, read the next meeting agenda, and maybe, just maybe, knock on your neighbor's door. We'll see you next time.